An ancient Sanskrit tradition speaks of flying vehicles that crossed the heavens. Centuries later, a controversial manuscript appeared to describe engines, materials, and navigation systems in technical detail. Then artificial intelligence examined the same claims. But did AI uncover evidence of lost aviation? Or did it simply make an old mystery louder? The answer begins with a text that may not be ancient at all. The word Vimana appears in several Sanskrit literary traditions. In epic and religious stories, it can refer to a celestial vehicle, a flying palace, or a divine chariot. The Ramayana describes the Pushpaka Vimana as a remarkable airborne vehicle. The Mahabharata contains descriptions of aerial battles and journeys through the sky. These passages are culturally and historically important, but they do not automatically describe aircraft in the modern engineering sense. Mythology often uses flight to represent divine power, transformation, or access to another realm. The difficult question is whether later writers were describing machines or using the language of wonder. The controversy becomes much more specific with a work known as the Vimana Shastra. Unlike the oldest Sanskrit epics, this text entered the historical record during the early 20th century. Pandit Subbaraya Shastri was said to have dictated it between 1918 and 1923, claiming that the material had been received through spiritual transmission. The text was later published with translations and technical illustrations. It presented itself as a record of ancient aeronautical knowledge. That distinction matters. The question is not simply whether ancient Indian literature mentions flying vehicles. It clearly does. The question is whether this particular technical manuscript preserves genuine ancient engineering or represents a modern composition written in Sanskrit. Supporters of the manuscript point to its technical vocabulary. The text refers to different types of vimanas, named materials, directional systems, and unusual propulsion concepts. Some modern retellings describe Mercury engines, radar-deflecting materials, and solar navigation. These claims sound astonishing, but an astonishing description is not the same as evidence that the machine existed. No verified aircraft has been recovered. No ancient workshop has been identified. No surviving component has been scientifically matched to the designs. The manuscript may contain technical-sounding language. That still leaves the central question unanswered. Was the language based on engineering, imagination, religious symbolism, or a combination of all three? In 1974, researchers associated with the Indian Institute of Science examined the Vimana Shastra from an engineering perspective. Their conclusion was damaging to the idea that the drawings represented functional aircraft. The designs lacked the aerodynamic features required for stable, heavier-than-air flight. Their shapes did not generate usable lift, and the proposed propulsion systems did not provide a credible explanation for thrust. This was not a casual dismissal. The study examined the designs using the principles of aerodynamics. The result did not prove that every ancient story about flight was meaningless. It showed something narrower and more important. The aircraft described in this manuscript could not function as real aircraft according to established physics. This is where the modern AI story enters. An AI system can compare thousands of pages, identify repeated words, and detect patterns across translated material much faster than a human researcher. If the same terms appear in similar positions throughout a text, the system may identify a consistent vocabulary. That can be interesting, but consistency does not prove truth. AI can only analyze the material it receives. If the translations contain assumptions, the AI may reproduce those assumptions. If a modern writer built an internally consistent, fictional system, a pattern recognition model could still find that system highly structured. AI did not excavate a machine. It did not date the manuscript. It did not test an engine. It identified patterns in a text. That sharpens the mystery, but it does not solve it. Ancient India produced extraordinary achievements in metallurgy, mathematics, architecture, and engineering. The Iron Pillar of Delhi remains a powerful example of historical metalworking. Ancient Indian craftsmen understood smelting, alloying, casting, and corrosion resistance at an impressive level. But acknowledging real achievements does not require accepting every extraordinary claim. A working aircraft would require more than strong metal. It would require reliable propulsion, stable aerodynamic control, lightweight structural materials, precise manufacturing, and an industrial system capable of producing and maintaining the machine. So far, archaeology has not found evidence of that system. Two broad explanations remain. The first is that the Vaimanika Shastra is a later work shaped by mythology, imagination, and early 20th century ideas about technology. This explanation fits the manuscript's documented timeline and the engineering criticism. The second possibility is that the text preserves distorted memories of older traditions or technical ideas that were later misunderstood. This explains why the language can feel unusually specific. But it faces a serious problem. Advanced aviation would leave physical traces: tools, materials, workshops, fragments, or infrastructure. So far, those traces have not been found. The strongest conclusion is not that ancient Indians built airplanes. The evidence does not support that claim. The stronger conclusion is that Sanskrit literature contains a long and fascinating tradition of celestial vehicles, and that a 20th century manuscript transformed that tradition into something resembling a technical manual. AI has revived the debate because it can reveal patterns humans may overlook. But patterns are not proof, and until archaeology produces physical evidence, the Vaimanika Shastra remains a historical mystery, not a confirmed record of ancient aviation. Perhaps the greatest question is not whether Vimanas flew. Perhaps it is why this story continues to make the past feel almost within reach. Because every mystery has a story. This is Tales Unknown,